this week we're finishing up the niyamas, the second of the 8 limbs of the Ashtanga tree. And we last week talked about svadhyaya, sva meaning self, adhyaya meaning getting close to. And so I feel like this idea of getting close to yourself and self-study really supports all 5 of the niyamas and how we allow this practice to help us truly take care of ourselves. And so the 5th is Ishwarapranidhana, which is this beautiful aspect of connecting with the divine, surrendering to God. And even though yoga is not a religion, we talked about that last week, it's definitely for all of us this way that we nourish our spirits and our souls as part of our spiritual practice. I was sharing with the students that myself, I have taken many different practices of different religions and spiritual practices over the years to really create something that feels like my spirituality. And I think yoga is a practice that allows us to do that, to create something that feels like our truth, our authenticity. So in this this idea of connecting with the divine and surrendering to that, I feel like everyone has to really identify what that is for you. What does that mean for you to identify with something bigger, or to, I was talking about the nataraj again, our golden self being our best self, our movement towards alchemy. Through fire and through trials in life, we become more of our golden self. And to me, this is also this idea of reflecting with something that is divine, something that is divine within us. Almost every spiritual practice talks about that. So I had to, on Sunday, I asked the students, well, like what helps you connect to your golden or the golden? What helps you connect to the divine? And we talked about rituals, meditation, chanting. I really talked a lot about chanting the word Om when you watch the conference. I'll do some reading around that. But one of the things we all agreed that we do is we do our yoga practice. And so I brought up a beautiful, a little book that Pattabhi Jois wrote. So Pattabhi Jois wrote 2 books, Yoga Mala in 1962, and then he published this very small book that's precious to me in 2005. And this book is called Surya Namaskara, and it's all about the sun salutes. And he begins this book by saying, this is something very important, I believe, I want to share this with all of you as your teacher. Pattabhi Jois said that if we only did the yoga asana, so the standing poses, first series, second series, third series, a closing sequence, back bends, he said all of this is gymnastics. It is Surya Namaskara that makes this practice a spiritual practice, that makes this practice holy, that makes this practice for all of us, this moving meditation. Pattabhi Jois refers to the sun salutes as a moving prayer. I love this bit at the end of his introduction. I just wanted to read to you. He said that the sun salutes, if I can find it, if I'm fumbling around here. So doing the reaching up to the sun and bowing back down and going through these, basically these prostrations. So if you see Tibetan monks doing their prayer prostrations, it looks very similar, where they're reaching up and they're moving back down and they're sliding forward and coming back through. And the repetition of the movement over and over and over and over again becomes this form of physical meditation, which is the same as our sun salutes. It's meant to not just warm our bodies up for the practice by heating ourselves, our fire, our agni from the inside, but it's meant to prepare our minds, prepare our whole self, our energy for the practice in a way that it feels like this is sacred. So he says, Surya Namaskara will bestow upon us the good fortune of having only good thoughts, of hearing and speaking only good words, and attaining a sound and strong body, so that we may live a life and one day achieve oneness with God, or with the divine, this Ishwarapranidhana. So join me today for a conference and studying our last of the niyamas, and looking to our practice to be not only this beautiful practice that takes care of our physical bodies, but also makes our energy more golden and connects us to what is sacred and what is divine.